So
Of
today
course.
we're cracking cans with the man who started it all, CK, or Chris Kelly, founder of East Coast Canning. For those who don't know CK, he's a fly fishing nerd, looks like a Canadian logger, has a bullshit meter higher than the warehouse stack full of cans, and a drive it like you mean it approach to running the crew. I'll let him explain that one. Back in 2016, CK and Mel, his partner and wife, had a mission to help small breweries get their beers into cans without having to fork out a heap of cash on expensive equipment. Fast forward 9 years, so we're kind of about to hit the 10-year mark, and East Coast has gone from one truck on the road to a national packaging powerhouse, printing, filling, and supplying tens of millions of cans for some of Australia's most creative beverage makers. Today, we're talking the future of canning. So the first question I wanted to ask you, CK, was aluminium's already the gold standard. So what does infinite really look like when people say they're chasing zero waste?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's one that isn't really misunderstood. So let me go into that a little bit without going too far into these. I find that's the trick with almost all packaging sustainability conversations. How to keep this high level enough not to go into the weeds and talk until people's eyes glaze over. But yeah, fully. And I think it's a challenge. It's what makes it so hard to communicate sustainability at a FMCG level. The sustainability and infinite conversation around aluminium really is mainly pertaining to the output percentage in the recycling process. And that's the real key, right? If you recycle 1 kilogram of aluminium, how much are you going to get on the other side? And the answer to that question is extremely high for aluminium. I don't know the number, but it's well in the 90%, probably the high 90s, to my understanding. It doesn't mean that like you get the most amazing aluminium product out of the recycling process, depending on what's going in, right? Anything, put shit in, you get shit out.
Yeah.
But at very least, maybe we can turn, mixed aluminium scrap into window frames for the building sector, for example. But in the best case scenario, we can turn cans into cans. And that happens pretty regularly. Yeah, it's cool. And so that's why the aluminium sector and the can sector particularly talk about, how a can can become another can in 60 days. And that has been studied and acknowledged and proven. So, which is cool. And so on the flip side, so many other packaging materials and other recyclable materials in the world just don't have that mass, right? 1 kilo of product in doesn't equal anywhere near the 90s out. I don't know what that always is, but for plastics, 70% is a kick-ass rate. You get a lot of material loss in the process. What that means is that we ultimately need to put brand new or virgin material into the system, right? We don't have a choice. Whereas with aluminium, we have a much better scenario. And we just don't need to top up the bank, right?
Yeah.
And that's why aluminium is becoming not becoming, like it is the gold standard for a lot of packaging. There's problems with inertness of the packaging material. So like whether the product actually reacts with the packaging and things like that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, and we see that in packaging innovation broadly, people getting around that. We've all seen the, spirit bottles made of cardboard and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, we think about that, 10 years ago, it would be like, nah,
Never.
Nah.
It was never going to happen. And now I think people are much more conscious and they're seeing what's possible now. They're testing, they're seeing what's possible. They might not necessarily be the early adopters, but they're definitely going into that with an open. People are expecting it, have a much more higher expectation of product being more sustainable these days, ever before. I suppose beyond ditching labels and shrink sleeves, what's kind of the next frontier in eco credentials? Like, what are we talking about when we say that?
I think a big next push specific to cans is
Yeah.
really all going to be around what that recycled content level is for our packaging. So I don't actually know what it is for Australia at the moment. I couldn't tell you. I know that it's pretty good in terms of how much recycled material is in our cans daily. I know that gold standard is 70-80% is what a lot of people are really aiming for. We saw in the last 12 months the project between Stone and Wood and Visy around this. And I think that's just the start of something. I think what we're going to see is more drive in that direction. I think the big one on the sustainability front for cans is going to be just that recycled content level. We do an okay job as a country on the return side, and kind of always have. So we're pretty good on that side. We're not great at turning our own aluminium into coils for can makers, unfortunately.
No.
That does have to get done offshore primarily. But still, we're keeping the aluminium in the cycle and we're keeping it in the loop.
You spent some time in the States a while back and you saw what they were doing with aluminium over there, recycled aluminium. There's kind of big football-sized spaces that are kind of pushing it in one end and coming out with product. What did you think while you were over there that was either a learning or you thought, wow, that's pretty next level?
Yeah, and I think the story that you're remembering of mine is actually really cool. It's a plant that I went and visited in Colorado that takes something very close to 100% post-consumer waste aluminium, so cans and all sorts of aluminium sources. And I watched them dumping it in one end of their plant, and out the other end of their plant was coming bright green rolled aluminium stock for Monster cans. You know, the tab, how they have a green pull tab.
Yep.
And so obviously they don't make the pull tabs in that plant. They make the green roll for that converted by the can maker. But it was pretty cool to see, you know, these giant containers of scrap aluminium going in the front side of that plant, and out comes this product on the other end, which is cool, you know, like those billion Monster cans or whatever that are made a year, probably much more than that. All those green tabs, it's all coming from, you know, God knows where. You can almost see that, you know, like, you know, the neighborhood bikes are going into the, you know, into the
wild hay.
Yeah.
What's stopping we obviously have space here in Australia. What's stopping us doing something like that? We just don't have the appetite for it, or it's just
it's
not.
That classic Australian economic sash. It's like the population size, how much it costs for labor, how much does energy cost as well. And that's a big part of the aluminium recycling puzzle. It's energy intensive, but nowhere near as energy intensive as digging it out of the ground. And also nowhere near as energy intensive as recycling paper or plastic, for example. So it's a really great thing to recycle, but it is energy hungry. There's no escaping that.
Yeah.
You know, it does have to get heated up real bloody hot. So we can't get around that. I think it's just a volume thing. I think it would all have to be centralized in one place. And at the end, sometimes it's easier to send containers overseas for it to be done in Southeast Asia to domestically truck everything to one space in Western Australia or Queensland or somewhere. Which is a shame, but who knows? Maybe one day. Maybe one day we have the innovation on the real heavy plant side that can make it work for our country.
So speaking of innovation, what's some tech that you've seen that's opening up new product categories in cans and aluminium? Like, what's game changing from your perspective? I know this is your baby.
Yeah,
you love it.
This is what I spend the vast majority of my time doing, as you know. I'm driven by, on that topic though, I'm driven by the next big thing, but what I'm really driven by is the next big thing that can become a scalable piece of business success, right? For customers in Australia. And that's the filter that innovation needs to run through. And it's a challenging one to get right. It's really tough, actually. That's an important part of me and what I do, is that I can actually be a very cynical person. You spoke about my bullshit meter at the start. And I actually think that
You're a positive person. You're not a negative person.
no,
Both
I'm not a
you.
negative person at all, but I also and can be quite wary of shiny lights.
Yeah.
And until I'm convinced the lights are shiny,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty wary. So that's important. I think that kind of like segueing out of that, the key thing on our radar as a business at the moment is this innovation out of Europe called Meadow. It is wildly simple yet amazing what we're going to be able to achieve with that technology. And just to wrap it up, essentially the Meadow system consists of an end and a way of puncturing that end with a special dispenser that modified and designed in so many like wildly unique ways. And it's that simple coming together of an end and a dispenser that can be resealed. That means that we can put an endless amount of things into beverage cans. We can use the platform of beverage cans, be more sustainable in other parts of the house, other parts of life. It's great. So like, obviously the platform is very strong in personal care. So think body washes and shampoos and those things that refills are currently, currently in market with. But the refill concept and the refill platform in FMCGs across a heap of verticals and categories, right? Like sauce.
Yeah, it's not a new concept. It's just that it's a more sustainable one.
I mean, we have bricks and mortar stores in Australia that have a very large dedicated floor space to refills in plastic pouches, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what we're talking about here is those refills becoming cans, but in a really safe, tamper-proof way, so no one's going to go and drink the body wash.
I mean, I don't know what bad could happen to you, but it wouldn't taste great.
It wouldn't be cool. No. Although some of them, how sometimes you'll smell one of them and you're like, that's fucking delicious.
That is delicious. Yeah, that's for sure.
So the Meadow system is, I think, one of those innovations that has that key capability I spoke about to become a scalable business changer in Australia and globally. We're seeing some launches at the moment. We are, and to give our own business a plug, we are signed up as the key strategic partner and first license holder in Australia for Meadow. So we'll be launching that soon, but the reality is that we'll be able to produce product and put product into market in this technology soon. And it's super cool, really exciting. But I think the really cool part is how broad it can get. It can be used for sauce or body wash or, I don't know, whatever. Whatever. Cleaning products, edible products. It's it could be something where your supplements are in a concentrate, or your vitamins, and you put,
which is very on trend.
Yeah, it's super on trend, right? You put a pump of that in your coffee of a morning. It can really go in a lot of directions, and it's really only limited by imagination in how that dispenser is managed and designed. It's cool.
Luckily in Australia, we have some imaginative brands and people that want to do some great work. We've got some good creatives across the board. So I think there's going to be some definite appetite for what's next.
100%. Sure. And I think speaking to that, like, and coming back to our kind of our homeland of beverage, this technology has just as much of a play in beverage as it does in other parts of the house as well. Yeah. There's some real opportunity to use it in drinks. It's going to be super exciting to see what people do with all that creativity. and the imaginations and the brand builders that we have, you know.
For sure.
It's going to be super cool.
Premium cues have always been glass territory, and we've talked about aluminium, but bring that same sense of craft and luxury into aluminium. I think that's something we're seeing start to come through. There's a lot of like high-end luxury brands starting to do those. And we're talking, there's luxury, but then there's just, you know, it's more high-end brands, just one above the high street brand. What are we starting to see come through, and what do you think consumers are going to take from that?
Oh, this is a tough one. How about our office chat? Our office chat yesterday about perfumes, wasn't it? About fragrances in aluminium.
I love that.
Speaking of luxury and aluminium, it's a super challenging space. I think that it is going to take a brand leader, right? The brand leader is going to be the important part in the premiumization of aluminium, right?
Yeah.
And
others do it. I mean, with their limited edition piece, a lot of the media I've put around it was about sustainability. There's always a lens that brand or a, you know, powerhouse might decide to put around it. But you know, how far are we going to see that being pushed? I would love to see more wine categories. And I mean, having just done a trip to Adelaide, I can see that there's a real appetite for something, whether it's bottles or you know, just using cans, like traditional cans. But
yeah, I think that alternate aluminium vessels are becoming more and more a part of the conversation with wine and other drinks, right? I think there's also a lot of capability and space in cocktails like premium, full strength, fucking give me the whole juice cocktails, right? I think there's
for sure.
Yeah, don't give me the watered down stuff. I want 100 mils of, like, you know, I want, you know, the whole lot, the whole bottle.
Yeah.
I think there's a real play with aluminium there. People are already doing it a little, and it's not new necessarily, but I still think there's a lot of space there. It can be accessed through alternate vessel types that are still aluminium, small bottles, small cans, you know, those sorts of things. Multi-serve packs. There's a whole way. There's a range of different ways we can do it, and brands can approach it. But yeah, we really need to see those brand leaders pop up and have more of a crack. I think the challenge is that, and you raise the point about sustainability, but sustainable and premium, they're not always friends, right?
No, there's only certain brands that might be able to pull that messaging off.
I think it's a tough message, right? Because it's not that they water each other down, but they take away from the impact of each other. Like, what are you trying to say?
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that's hard. I think that's hard for people. So there'll be a brave brand that comes out and says, look, all of our $40 bottles of wine are in aluminium now. That's going to be a brave brand that says that. It's super cool, right? But it's going to be a brave brand that says that. And particularly if they go to market and they say, oh, it's because we like aluminium or we think it's fucking cool. And not, you know.
Here we go.
Yeah, like, you know, they made the sustainability inherent and built in. We don't need to tell you that, but it's fucking cool, right? That's going to be a brave brand. I think it has legs. Like, you know.
What do you think East Coast can kind of bring to that party in terms of a brand that wanted to do something like that? Where do you think we fit into that?
The benefit of what we do is that we allow people to work on that at a small scale, and so you don't have to go to nationwide procurement level on your packaging to make that work. I think that's our key role in brand innovation, technical innovation, flavor innovation. Debate me all you want about using innovation in some of those places. I'm not hell bent on the word innovation in flavor, for example, but our role in all of those spaces is exactly that, being able to provide a small run packaging system and ecosystem. And with us, you don't just get a transactional here you are. It's we've built this business with these two hands you see here, built it. And so you get an ecosystem of advice and help and those sorts of things, right? Like that's our role in the market.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some pretty strong brains across the business, both from a brewer's perspective, manufacturing perspective, engineers, right through to people who've worked in drinks, for over decades. So we're pretty au fait in that space and can definitely support that side of things. Let's jump into a time machine. What wild canning innovations do you reckon we'll see in the next 10 years?
I don't know. It's funny because and I just was looking over your shoulder actually, and you see above the emus, that black and white drawing. That's a drawing that my daughter did of my brain.
What does it say? Infinitely sound geckos, Austin maple,
lollies. Yeah. I think there's probably fishing in there somewhere because she thinks that a large amount of my brain is consumed by fishing. But I think farts, yeah, no, and she's wrong. It's fart jokes, but but I think that it's funny because I was just looking at that and thinking about how riddled my brain is with crazy shit and ideas and all this stuff. But I think that there's a few really geeky technical things I know that we're going to see in the next decade that really excite me. It's super cool on a manufacturing front. I think our customers and our audience would really appreciate it. So things like, for example, I think that machine vision systems, intelligent camera systems that are actually looking at the health of your machinery, they are becoming really pretty easy to access now. And I think in even 2 or 3 years from now, we'll have a system and capability where we can have a cheap system that is permanently looking at our machinery and giving us advice on it. I think manufacturers, producers that might have their own canning line or then own anything. I think that's really cool. Data is going to have a really big role to play at that machinery level too. We work with an Australian-based business called OFS. Give them a little plug here. They're great people. We've worked with them for a long time. They've existed for a long time. It's pretty simple stuff, right? It's just monitoring machinery. But man, it can provide some outcomes. Like it provides stupid efficiency gains at times. Those data plays at a machinery and a manufacturing level are going to be huge and big. But the wild aluminium and the wild beverage innovations, I think that it's around variable format. And what I mean by that is bottles, weird and wonderful bottles, different necks. I think there'll be this in 10 years, we'll have incredible resealable technology for cans. In 10 years, you won't miss the PET bottle anymore because your can will will reseal the same your PET bottle does.
So good.
That'll be cool. It's in development. I've seen it. It's coming.
Yeah.
So I think resealability, just general user experience. There's so many things. There's this really cool thing at the moment that my friend Jared at Cody is helping with. I think he's part of, but they're working on making the tabs on the beverage cans far easier to pull. So they've figured out a way. Yeah, they figured out a way to create a little bit of uplift at the end of the tab. It's called Tab Up, and just to make it far easier. So if you've got fingernails, ladies out there, it's not hard to open cans.
I love this. I love, even though it's conceptual or not, I call it what it is. I think some people try to be so clever with how they define these new technologies. And sometimes I'm like, can we just say what it is?
And if anyone out there, if the 2.5 people who watch this know Jared Jones from Cody and know him well, shout out to JJ, they'll know that calling it what it fucking is it's what he's all about. So it suits. But it's there's really cool stuff around just user experience. Is big in aluminium and beverage. They're the keys. I think we're going to see a range of formats. We're going to see resealability. We're going to see some interesting user experience plays. And then in the back office, like in the manufacturing space, we're going to see people gaining efficiency. We're going to see people gaining, sustainability plays that access better pricing and better COGS as well. Another really interesting and unique thing I've seen lately is around reusing beverage cans that would have otherwise been crushed. I can't say too much more about it than that, but like that is an amazing way of giving cans that have already been turned into cans another life that are getting crushed. So
I love that.
Yeah, there's great stuff being worked on in that space. So
how do we see the Kelly family delivering on the future of what's next in the ECC playbook? We talked about Meadow, but what's next for the Kelly family, or what's in the future do you see?
Yeah, I mean, look, Meadow's in the immediate future, isn't it? There'll be product in market in 2026. I think that our role to play in this is as the custodians of East Coast canning. Really, it's not just me and my family; it's also the whole staffing group at East Coast Canning, the whole team. Now, our role is to assess and analyze these innovations and make sure that they are serving the needs of our customer base. We need to make sure they're flowing in the mission, and all these people who are building these great brands and building great drinks, we want to make sure we're backing them, right? And so we'll be working tirelessly to analyze and review and stay on the front of all of these things, whether they're at a manufacturing level or to a new offering for a brewery or brand or drinks producer, right? That's our role to play, is that review and understanding the scalability and understanding how we can bring it to life and bring it to market is the real key for us. But rest assured, that's what we do every day. That's our thing.
Definitely.
We are not a transactional, we print your things and we fill your stuff. That is not us.
No, we're just not made up with people like that at all, to be honest. And I don't know. I mean, it was probably part intentional, part because that's the kind of people we all like to work with as well. Like, that's just how it's landed in some way, shape, or form. Everyone kind of wants to do a good bit. So, and do it for the right people. I said earlier in your intro, drive it like you mean it. A drive it like you mean it approach to how he runs his crew. What does that mean in reality? I kind of want you to get into a little bit of that.
I love it.
And what it's actually like to work here.
Yeah, and so what it's like to work here, and we say, don't we, internally, we say, you've got the keys and you have to drive, right?
Yeah.
I think but like, I fucking love that so much, because at a team level and a business level, at a people level and an employment level, right? We all want agency. It's a real key human desire to have some agency, a piece of autonomy. We all like to understand what's expected of us, but we all like to be who we are, right? And bring a piece of ourselves to work, and no one wants to be babied. You actually, shit, I said no one. That's not fucking true.
That's not true.
What does happen at East Coast Canning, because of that culture that we built into the business operations and team, is that occasionally we mess up in recruitment. And while we're trying to recruit against our values and make sure that we are hiring people that are going to thrive in that environment, occasionally we mess up. Occasionally someone comes into the team and they can't thrive in that environment, they leave very fast.
It weeds them out, right? It's like, it weeds it out, and it's like, you know what? Yeah, that's what it's there for. I mean, I wouldn't say that we're this like hardcore values based business, because that's just not what we are, and it would be really off-brand for us to even say something like that. But everyone innately knows, and they sit there and everyone knows what they are and everyone knows what they mean, but it's not like, I think it's just innately like you said, it's the people you hire, that's what they embody in some way, shape or form. Not that there's no robots, that is fucking 100%. There is all the weirdos here, but that's why it works. But yeah, I think that definitely describes the approach.
We have an authentic business culture, not values in italics.
No,
in the frame in the reception.
no. How do you think the crew would describe you here? Use 3 words. Or how do you think they would describe you? And then how do you think your family would describe you?
I think the crew would describe me as...
It's hard to answer that, isn't it?
Drinking coffee, looking confused. I think that's 4 words. Is that too many?
Drinking coffee, looking confused.
Yeah.
Trying to find the dog.
Yeah. Trying to find Maple. Yeah. No. I don't know. I think they mostly see me as a character around HQ, and I think they also see me as as probably a driving figure of the culture that we just spoke about. Like, I think they do look to me for that, which is cool. That's my job. That's what I'm here for.
For sure.
That's why we built East Coast Canning in a pretty purposeful way.
Yeah.
It doesn't always look and feel like it, but we did.
Yeah.
So.
And what about Mel and the kids?
Well, we spoke about my daughter's picture in my brain.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I could pretty much just screen grab that.
Yeah, just that. Yeah. I mean, I think that my family are a funny family as small business owners, right? Right.
Yeah.
Even in that fragile and awkward point in our lives, you know.
Maybe she just didn't know. She didn't know what was going on, so she's just like, go do whatever that hobby you want to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, and look, and we did think at the start of East Coast Canning, we thought that I'd be away on the road for a week or two, doing filling jobs, and home for a couple of weeks to do maintenance on the machinery. That was, you know, we thought it was going to be like that.
Wow.
It's big. It's a big alteration, but and I always make this point when I recount that, is that we did see the possibility.
Yeah.
We you know, there was no chickens counted until they were hatched, but we could see that possibility. But no, my daughter was in a walker while we were commissioning our first canning line in our driveway. So we've got these real family roots, and so it is funny. I think building a business and building a family at the same time.
Yeah, it's full on white knuckling it.
Super fucking fun though.
Yeah.
Right. I'm all about it. I wouldn't trade places, and I'm in the seat I want to be in. But it's an odd challenge.
I don't think there's balance in it at all. Like I was going to say, I'll let you guys seem like you've got it fairly dialed and balanced, but there's not really either balance in family or business or life in general. But I'd say that you guys maybe by now, 10-year mark, you're probably being able to balance it a little more because the kids are older, maybe, and that's what it's
pretty fair. It's
like there's no stress around it. It's just part of your life, you know, and it feels very flowy, if that makes sense.
It does, and I think that is an interesting perspective on like work, right? And I think it's a work-life balance question that I see often. You see the corny LinkedIn posts about work-life balance.
This doesn't exist. It's not real.
No. Life is about flow, and things ebb and flow, and they change. And I think that you create that, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's you need to.
Yeah, fuck. It's all about a conscious decision to create the life that you're interested in. Coming back 9.5 years ago, that's what Melissa and I did. We made a conscious choice to create a life that we wanted. With East Coast Canning, and so it's an interesting one. But we definitely are in a very fortunate spot these days in terms of work. I do.
We live in paradise too, by the way.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're on the south coast of New South Wales here, and for anyone who doesn't know, we've got 26 staff in a beautiful regional part of Australia. It's a big part of who we are and what we do, and it is paradise. But But yeah, look, we work basically 24/7. I work 24/7. Like whether I like it or not, I'm on call.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's a technical problem in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's a truck that hasn't been loaded. Sometimes it's something else really weird and wonderful. That does happen.
I think you guys have definitely built some good, like got the right people in the right spots to be able to build on that. There's so much trust within the team that, hopefully, but we're into year 10 now. So I think, what's the celebrations for year 10? I'm still wondering.
Yeah, I know. We ought to organise a party, eh? Me and Melissa have actually began the discussion lately. So we've got some cool ideas. Yeah.
It's exciting. All right. Thanks, CK.